Have you ever extended a hand of kindness, only to find it met with indifference, or worse, blatant disrespect? Perhaps you've held a door open for someone, and they've breezed past without a simple acknowledgement. Maybe you've gone above and beyond to assist a colleague, only to be met with a snide remark instead of gratitude. Moments like these can be jarring, causing you to pause and question your own actions. Did I do something wrong? Is my kindness misplaced? Is my inherent goodness being taken advantage of? Before you allow these questions to erode your spirit and diminish your willingness to be kind, let's step back and re-evaluate the situation. The core problem doesn't reside in your kindness itself, but rather in how, when, and to whom that kindness is extended. Stoic philosophy, a timeless guide to navigating the complexities of human existence, offers profound insights on this very issue. It teaches us that kindness, far from being a sign of weakness or vulnerability, is actually one of the greatest expressions of inner strength and resilience. However, kindness without wisdom, without discernment, and without clearly defined boundaries is a recipe for being taken advantage of, for fostering resentment in the giver, and for potentially enabling negative behaviors in the receiver. This exploration isn't about discouraging kindness, but instead about transforming your generosity into a powerful, sustainable force that accurately reflects your self-worth, your values, and your unwavering commitment to personal integrity. Together, we'll delve into the timeless lessons of Stoic philosophy, examining its core principles and exploring practical strategies for practicing kindness in a way that commands respect, fosters healthy relationships, and strengthens your own inner resolve, rather than diminishing it or leaving you feeling depleted. Stay with me, because every second of this exploration holds the potential to reshape how you approach kindness, ensuring it becomes a source of strength, resilience, and genuine connection that no one can ignore or exploit. We will explore how to navigate the complexities of giving, ensuring that your generous spirit uplifts both yourself and those around you, creating a more positive and fulfilling existence for everyone involved. We will arm ourselves with the wisdom to differentiate between genuine altruism and actions driven by fear, obligation, or a desperate need for external validation. This is a journey of self-discovery, where kindness becomes not just an act, but a reflection of your authentic self, radiating outward and influencing the world in a profound and meaningful way. So prepare to redefine your understanding of kindness, and embark on a path towards a more balanced, fulfilling, and impactful life. Consider the story of John, a kind and well-meaning neighbor who is always eager to lend a helping hand to anyone in need within his community. John embodies the spirit of generosity, readily offering his time, energy, and resources to assist those around him. When his close friend Mark forgets his house keys at work one evening, John unhesitatingly skips his own dinner plans, driving across town in heavy traffic to deliver the spare set, ensuring that Mark isn't locked out and inconvenienced for the night. When a neighbor's wooden gate is damaged during a storm, John immediately puts aside his own personal projects and weekend leisure activities, spending hours meticulously repairing the gate and reinforcing its structure to ensure the neighbor's property is secure and protected. Initially, John's acts of kindness are met with sincere and heartfelt gratitude from those he assists. His friends and neighbors express their appreciation for his selflessness and willingness to go above and beyond, reinforcing his belief that he is making a positive difference in their lives. However, as time passes and John consistently demonstrates his unwavering willingness to help, his generosity gradually becomes expected. People begin to take his kindness for granted, assuming that he will always be available to assist them, regardless of the circumstances or his own personal needs. One day, John finds himself in a situation where he is genuinely unable to fulfill a request for help. He is deeply engrossed in a time-sensitive personal project that requires his undivided attention, and he politely declines a neighbor's request to assist with a minor home repair. Instead of understanding and accepting his limitations, the neighbor responds with criticism and disappointment, expressing disbelief that John would refuse to help after all the times he had been so generous in the past. John begins to feel taken advantage of, questioning whether his kindness is truly appreciated or simply viewed as an obligation. He starts to wonder if he has inadvertently created a dynamic where people expect his assistance without reciprocating or acknowledging the value of his contributions. He grapples with feelings of resentment and disillusionment, questioning the wisdom of his past actions and contemplating whether he should scale back his generosity to protect himself from further exploitation. This scenario is all too familiar. Many of us have found ourselves in John's shoes, experiencing the frustration and disappointment of having our kindness misunderstood, undervalued, or even taken for granted. Kindness, when given without clear boundaries and a healthy sense of self-preservation, can easily be misinterpreted or exploited. People may assume that your generosity stems from a need for approval or validation, leading them to take advantage of your willingness to help. They may fail to recognize the personal sacrifices you are making or the effort you are expending to assist them, viewing your kindness as an entitlement rather than a voluntary act of goodwill. Stoic philosophy offers a valuable framework for understanding and addressing this challenge. It explains that the issue isn't with kindness itself, which is inherently a virtuous quality, but rather with how we practice it. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most renowned Stoic philosophers, wrote, "The soul is dyed the color of its thoughts." This profound statement highlights the importance of cultivating a mindset that supports and sustains our virtuous actions. If your kindness stems from a deep-seated need to please others or from a fear of rejection, your soul becomes colored by dependency, making you vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation. You may find yourself constantly seeking external validation, sacrificing your own needs and desires in an attempt to win approval from others. This type of kindness is ultimately unsustainable, as it depletes your emotional reserves and leaves you feeling resentful and unfulfilled. However, when guided by strong personal values and a deep sense of self-awareness, kindness transforms into a powerful force for good, both for yourself and for those around you. When your kindness is rooted in a genuine desire to uplift others and contribute to their well-being, it becomes a reflection of your inner strength and integrity. You are no longer driven by the need for external validation, but rather by an unwavering commitment to living in accordance with your values. This type of kindness is resilient, sustainable, and capable of fostering meaningful connections based on mutual respect and appreciation. Now, consider the example of Sophia, an outstanding and highly valued employee at a large and competitive firm. Sophia is known throughout the company for her exceptional work ethic, her dedication to her responsibilities, and her unwavering willingness to go the extra mile to ensure that projects are completed successfully. She frequently works late, taking on additional responsibilities without complaint, and consistently exceeding expectations in her performance. Initially, Sophia's efforts are met with genuine admiration from her colleagues and praise from her supervisors. She is recognized as a valuable asset to the team, and her contributions are acknowledged and appreciated. However, as time progresses, her dedication is increasingly taken for granted. Her colleagues begin to expect her to consistently work late and take on extra tasks, and her supervisors assume that she will always be willing to shoulder additional responsibilities without hesitation. One day, Sophia finds herself in a situation where she is unable to work late due to pressing health reasons. She politely informs her supervisor that she needs to prioritize her well-being and cannot stay beyond her regular working hours. The result is disappointing. Her supervisor seems visibly displeased and expresses concern about the potential impact on the team's productivity. Her colleagues also express their dissatisfaction, finding it inconvenient that Sophia is not as available as she has been in the past. This experience causes Sophia to realize that her kindness, when practiced without clear boundaries, has not inspired respect or appreciation, but rather has bred endless expectations and a sense of entitlement in those around her. She recognizes that she has inadvertently created a dynamic where her willingness to help is viewed as an obligation rather than a voluntary act of goodwill. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that kindness isn't about unconditional sacrifice or the endless pursuit of pleasing others. It requires balance and wisdom, a careful consideration of your own needs and limitations, and a clear understanding of the potential consequences of your actions. Setting boundaries doesn't diminish the value of kindness. In fact, it protects it from being exploited and ensures that it remains a genuine expression of your values. Kindness that isn't rooted in confidence, self-awareness, and a healthy sense of self-preservation risks becoming a cycle of resentment for the giver and entitlement from the receiver. When you consistently sacrifice your own needs to please others, you not only deplete your emotional reserves but also create a dynamic where your contributions are undervalued and your boundaries are disrespected. This can lead to feelings of resentment, burnout, and a diminished sense of self-worth. The lesson here is simple yet profound: give with an open heart, but never forget to set clear limits and boundaries. Your kindness is a precious asset, not an infinite obligation. It should be offered freely and generously, but always with a mindful awareness of your own needs and limitations. When you practice purposeful kindness, you not only safeguard your own dignity and well-being but also elevate the value of your actions. Your kindness becomes a reflection of your inner strength and integrity, rather than a desperate attempt to seek approval or validation from others. It becomes something that you offer freely and authentically, knowing that it is making a positive difference in the world without compromising your own well-being. Kindness shouldn't be used as a tool to seek approval or acceptance from others, but rather as a means of reflecting your inner strength and demonstrating your commitment to living in accordance with your values. It should be an expression of your authentic self, radiating outward and influencing the world in a positive and meaningful way. When you approach kindness with this mindset, it becomes a source of personal empowerment and fulfillment, something that no one can diminish or take away from you. It is a gift that you offer freely and generously, knowing that it is enriching the lives of others while simultaneously strengthening your own inner resolve. Now, let's examine the fine line that exists between genuine kindness and the often misguided attempt to please everyone around you. Imagine a dedicated and loving father named Mark, who consistently puts his family's needs and desires above his own. Mark embodies the role of the quintessential family man, working tirelessly to provide for his loved ones and ensuring that their every need is met. Whenever someone in the household requires assistance, Mark is always the first to offer his help, readily sacrificing his own time and energy to attend to their requests. He works long and demanding hours at his job to provide financial security for his family, and then spends his evenings fixing things around the house, tackling household chores, and attending to the myriad of tasks that are necessary to maintain a comfortable and functional home environment. He uses his weekends to chauffeur his children to various extracurricular activities, sporting events, and social gatherings, ensuring that they have every opportunity to pursue their passions and interests. At first, Mark's family genuinely appreciates his unwavering dedication and selflessness. They express their gratitude for his efforts and acknowledge the sacrifices he is making on their behalf. However, over time, Mark's constant willingness to assist and his unwavering commitment to meeting their every need gradually become an expectation. His family begins to take his kindness for granted, assuming that he will always be available to help them, regardless of the circumstances or his own personal limitations. One day, Mark finds himself completely exhausted after a particularly demanding week at work. He politely declines a request from his children to drive them to a social event, explaining that he needs to rest and recharge in order to maintain his own well-being. Instead of understanding and accepting his need for rest, Mark is met with complaints and accusations from his children, who express their disappointment and frustration that he is not fulfilling their request. They remind him of all the times he has helped them in the past, implying that he is now failing to live up to their expectations. They say things like, "But you always help us. Why not now?" This experience causes Mark to realize that his unconditional devotion and unwavering willingness to please his family have not inspired respect or appreciation, but instead have fostered unchecked entitlement and a lack of consideration for his own needs. He recognizes that he has inadvertently created a dynamic where his kindness is viewed as an obligation rather than a voluntary act of love and generosity. This story resonates deeply with many of us, as it highlights the common pitfall of offering kindness without boundaries and the potential consequences of prioritizing the needs of others above our own. Kindness, when offered without clear limits and a healthy sense of self-preservation, is often taken for granted or even exploited. People may assume that your generosity stems from a desire to please them or from a fear of disappointing them, leading them to take advantage of your willingness to help. They may fail to recognize the personal sacrifices you are making or the effort you are expending to assist them, viewing your kindness as an entitlement rather than a voluntary act of goodwill. Stoic philosophy teaches us that kindness isn't about limitless sacrifice or the endless pursuit of pleasing others. It's an intentional act that requires wisdom, discernment, and a careful consideration of your own needs and limitations. It's about finding a healthy balance between generosity and self-preservation, ensuring that your kindness is both sustainable and meaningful. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." This statement underscores the importance of cultivating a mindset that supports and sustains our virtuous actions. If your kindness stems from a fear of disappointing others or from a deep-seated need for external validation, your soul absorbs the hue of dependence, making you vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation. You may find yourself constantly seeking approval from others, sacrificing your own needs and desires in an attempt to win their favor. This type of kindness is ultimately unsustainable, as it depletes your emotional reserves and leaves you feeling resentful and unfulfilled. However, when your kindness is rooted in strong personal values and a deep sense of self-awareness, it transforms into true strength, a powerful force for good that benefits both yourself and those around you. When your kindness is driven by a genuine desire to uplift others and contribute to their well-being, it becomes a reflection of your inner integrity and unwavering commitment to your values. You are no longer motivated by the need for external validation, but rather by a deep-seated desire to live in accordance with your principles. This type of kindness is resilient, sustainable, and capable of fostering meaningful connections based on mutual respect and appreciation. Consider another compelling example, Lisa, a dedicated and compassionate nurse who consistently goes above and beyond to provide exceptional care for her patients. Lisa is known throughout the hospital for her unwavering commitment to her profession, her empathy for her patients, and her willingness to step in and help her colleagues whenever they are in need. She frequently works extra shifts, volunteers to cover for absent colleagues, and dedicates her personal time to researching the latest medical advancements in order to provide the best possible care for her patients. Initially, Lisa's efforts are met with genuine praise and appreciation from her colleagues, her supervisors, and her patients. She is recognized as a valuable asset to the nursing team, and her contributions are acknowledged and celebrated. However, as time progresses, Lisa's dedication gradually becomes an expectation. Her colleagues begin to assume that she will always be willing to work extra shifts and cover for them, and her supervisors expect her to consistently go above and beyond in her patient care. One day, Lisa decides that she needs to take a break from her demanding work schedule in order to focus on her own health and well-being. She politely informs her supervisor that she will be taking a few days of personal leave to rest and recharge. To her dismay, she faces criticism from her supervisor and some of her colleagues, who express their disappointment that she will not be as available as she has been in the past. They imply that she is letting them down by prioritizing her own needs over the needs of her patients and the nursing team. This experience causes Lisa to understand that her kindness, when practiced without clear boundaries, does not command respect but instead creates endless demands and a sense of entitlement in those around her. She recognizes that she has inadvertently created a dynamic where her willingness to help is viewed as an obligation rather than a voluntary act of compassion. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that kindness should be fortified with mindfulness and purpose. It's not about blindly saying yes to every request or sacrificing your own needs to please others, but rather about making conscious choices that align with your values and support your overall well-being. Setting boundaries doesn't diminish your kindness, in fact, it elevates it by ensuring that it remains a genuine expression of your values and a sustainable practice that enriches both your life and the lives of those around you. It's not a sign of selfishness or a lack of compassion, but rather a way to honor yourself and those around you by establishing healthy relationships based on mutual respect and balance. By setting clear boundaries, you protect your kindness from being exploited and preserve it as a genuine act of goodwill, offered freely and without resentment. So, the next time you feel inclined to say yes to a request, pause for a moment and ask yourself some crucial questions. Does this align with my values? Am I giving out of genuine sincerity in a desire to help, or am I motivated by fear of rejection or a need for external validation? Am I setting aside my own needs and priorities in order to fulfill this request? These questions will help you assess your motivations and shape your kindness wisely, ensuring that it remains a sustainable and meaningful practice. Remember, boundaries aren't walls that isolate us from others, they are frameworks for building healthy and respectful relationships based on mutual understanding and consideration. They define the limits of our willingness to give, ensuring that we don't overextend ourselves or create a dynamic of entitlement in those around us. When you practice intentional kindness, rooted in self-awareness and a commitment to your values, you enrich your own life while transforming it into a source of strength and inspiration that no one can overlook. Your kindness becomes a beacon of light, radiating outward and influencing the world in a positive and profound way. Consider the story of Jack, a man renowned among his friends and colleagues for his boundless kindness, unwavering enthusiasm, and genuine willingness to help anyone in need. Jack is the embodiment of a generous spirit, always ready to lend a hand and offer his support to those around him. If someone needs help moving to a new apartment or house, Jack is invariably the first to volunteer, showing up with his pickup truck, a cheerful attitude, and an unwavering commitment to assisting in the often arduous and stressful task of relocation. When a colleague at work is feeling overwhelmed with a heavy workload or facing a tight deadline, Jack willingly takes on extra tasks and responsibilities, lightening their burden and helping them to meet their goals. He approaches every situation with a positive and optimistic outlook, offering encouragement and support to those who are struggling. At first, everyone genuinely appreciates Jack's generosity and selflessness. His friends and colleagues express their gratitude for his willingness to help, acknowledging the sacrifices he is making and the positive impact he is having on their lives. However, over time, Jack's constant willingness to assist and his unwavering commitment to meeting the needs of others gradually become an expectation. People begin to take his kindness for granted, assuming that he will always be available to lend a hand, regardless of the circumstances or his own personal limitations. One day, Jack finds himself completely exhausted and in need of a break. He has been working tirelessly for weeks, juggling his professional responsibilities with his personal commitments and his constant efforts to help others. He politely declines a request from a friend to assist with a home renovation project, explaining that he needs to rest and recharge in order to maintain his own well-being. Instead of understanding and accepting his need for rest, Jack is met with disappointment and even criticism from his friend, who expresses disbelief that he would refuse to help after all the times he had been so generous in the past. This experience causes Jack to realize that his kindness, though pure in intention, has been misunderstood and exploited. He recognizes that he has inadvertently created a dynamic where his willingness to help is viewed as an obligation rather than a voluntary act of goodwill. This scenario isn't unique to Jack. It reflects a common challenge that many kind-hearted individuals face when their generosity isn't paired with self-assertion and clear boundaries. Kindness, when not accompanied by a healthy sense of self-preservation and a willingness to assert your own needs, can easily be misconstrued as weakness or a lack of personal boundaries. People may assume that your generosity stems from a desire to please them or from a fear of disappointing them, leading them to take advantage of your willingness to help. They may fail to recognize the personal sacrifices you are making or the effort you are expanding to assist them, viewing your kindness as an entitlement rather than a voluntary act of goodwill. Stoic philosophy, with its emphasis on reason, self-awareness, and the cultivation of inner strength, teaches us that true kindness isn't just about giving, it's about intentional giving that is rooted in personal values, a healthy sense of self-preservation, and a commitment to maintaining balance in your life. Kindness shouldn't be tied to a fear of rejection or the desire to please others, but rather should reflect your inner strength, your self-respect, and your unwavering commitment to living in accordance with your values. Consider the example of Emily, a devoted and loving mother who consistently puts her family's needs and desires above her own. Emily is the epitome of a selfless parent, sacrificing her personal time, her hobbies, and her own self-care in order to ensure that everyone else in her family is cared for and supported. She spends countless hours preparing meals, cleaning the house, running errands, and attending to the myriad of tasks that are necessary to maintain a comfortable and functional home environment. She consistently puts the needs of her children and her spouse ahead of her own, neglecting her own interests and desires in order to ensure their happiness and well-being. At first, Emily's family genuinely appreciates her efforts and expresses their gratitude for her sacrifices. They acknowledge the positive impact she is having on their lives and recognize the love and dedication she is demonstrating. However, over time, her sacrifices gradually become an unspoken expectation. Her family begins to assume that she will always be available to attend to their needs, regardless of the circumstances or her own personal limitations. One day, Emily decides that she needs to dedicate one evening a week to herself, to engage in activities that bring her joy and help her to recharge her batteries. She decides to spend this time reading, practicing yoga, or simply unwinding and relaxing. Her family initially resists this decision, as they have become accustomed to her constant availability and unwavering attention. They express their disappointment and frustration that she is no longer as accessible as she has been in the past. However, Emily stands firm, recognizing that if she doesn't set boundaries and prioritize her own well-being, she risks burnout and diminishing the value of her contributions to the family. Through this decision, she learns that loving herself is just as important as loving others. She realizes that she cannot effectively care for her family if she is neglecting her own needs and allowing herself to become depleted. Stoic philosophy reminds us that boundaries aren't barriers that isolate us from others, they are tools to protect our mental health, preserve our energy, and sustain healthy relationships. Boundaries make kindness clearer, more intentional, and more respected. When you set limits, you not only protect yourself from being exploited or taken advantage of but also teach others to value your contributions and respect your needs. It starts with small, everyday actions, such as politely declining an invitation that doesn't genuinely interest you or limiting the amount of help you can provide to someone who is constantly asking for assistance. These seemingly insignificant actions can have a profound impact on your overall well-being and your ability to practice kindness in a sustainable and meaningful way. Now, picture a different scenario. Imagine that you have a friend who frequently borrows money from you without consistently returning it. Initially, you lend them money because you genuinely believe they are in need of help and you want to support them through a difficult time. You trust that they will repay you when they are able to do so, and you don't want to create any unnecessary stress or tension in the friendship. However, as the requests for money grow more frequent and the repayments become less consistent, you begin to feel taken advantage of and resentful. You start to question whether your friend is truly committed to repaying the money or whether they are simply exploiting your generosity. Without clear boundaries and open communication, the cycle of borrowing and lending continues, creating a growing sense of unease and resentment between you and your friend. Setting a firm but respectful limit on the amount of money you are willing to lend doesn't just safeguard your finances, it also challenges your friend to address their behavior and take responsibility for their financial obligations. While it may feel uncomfortable at first to confront your friend and set boundaries, this ultimately creates a healthier and more balanced relationship based on mutual respect and accountability. Kindness shouldn't come at the cost of self-abandonment or the compromise of your own values. It must be offered with confidence, clarity, and unwavering fidelity to your personal principles. This doesn't diminish your worth in the eyes of others, on the contrary, it demonstrates that you understand your own limits, value your own well-being, and live with integrity. A thoughtfully communicated no can often earn more respect than a pressured yes that is given out of obligation or fear. By setting boundaries and learning to say no gracefully, you not only protect your own mental well-being but also inspire others to do the same. You demonstrate that kindness isn't a form of submission or weakness, but rather a strength that is born from self-respect and genuine sincerity. When practiced intentionally and with clear boundaries, kindness enriches your life, strengthens your relationships, and radiates its value to those around you. However, for kindness to truly thrive and make a lasting positive impact, you must learn to protect it from being exploited, undervalued, or taken for granted. So, think back to the last time you said yes to something you didn't truly want to do, or when you allowed someone to take advantage of your generosity. Next time, will you have the courage to set boundaries, assert your own needs, and protect your own well-being without compromising your inherent kindness and compassion? Often, it's in these seemingly small, everyday moments that we rediscover the delicate balance between kindness and self-respect, a balance that is essential for leading a life of meaning, integrity, and fulfillment. It's about finding the sweet spot where you can be both generous and self-preserving, both compassionate and assertive, both giving and receiving. Reflecting on my own experiences, I recall a specific time a few years ago when I went above and beyond to help a close friend who was facing a challenging situation. My friend was experiencing a rough financial patch and was struggling to make ends meet. Her car, which was essential for her to get to work and run errands, had broken down, and she couldn't afford to take it to a professional mechanic for repairs. Knowing her predicament, I offered to help her fix the car myself. I spent an entire Saturday diagnosing the problem, researching the necessary parts, sourcing them from various auto supply stores, and meticulously repairing the car. It was a time-consuming and physically demanding task, but I was happy to help my friend in her time of need. At first, she was incredibly grateful for my assistance, expressing her sincere appreciation for my efforts and acknowledging the sacrifices I was making on her behalf. She even brought me coffee and pastries as a token of her thanks, further reinforcing my belief that I had made a positive difference in her life. However, just a few weeks later, when the car experienced another mechanical issue, she called me again, not to ask for my help in a tentative or respectful manner, but almost expecting me to immediately step in and resolve the problem. Her tone carried an assumption that I would once again drop everything and come to her rescue, and it made me feel as though my previous effort had been taken for granted. It wasn't that I didn't want to help her, but her tone and her unspoken expectation made me feel as though my kindness was being viewed as an obligation rather than a voluntary act of goodwill. That was the precise moment I realized that kindness without clear boundaries and a healthy sense of self-preservation doesn't just exhaust you, it diminishes its own value and can lead to feelings of resentment and exploitation. Stoic philosophy teaches us that kindness must be paired with wisdom, discernment, and clearly defined boundaries. Without these essential components, kindness can easily be misunderstood, undervalued, or even exploited by those who may not fully appreciate the sacrifices you are making or the effort you are expending. I began to understand that setting boundaries doesn't make you less kind or less compassionate. In fact, it preserves your kindness as a genuine and voluntary act, rather than an obligation that is imposed upon you by others. Boundaries are not walls that isolate us from others or prevent us from forming meaningful connections, they are bridges that nurture healthy relationships, foster mutual respect, and ensure that our interactions are based on fairness and consideration. Take the story of Josh, a colleague of mine at a previous job, who was always willing to take on extra tasks and responsibilities from others because he couldn't bring himself to say no. Josh was a kind and compassionate individual who genuinely wanted to help his colleagues and contribute to the success of the team. He consistently volunteered to take on additional assignments, work extra hours, and assist with tasks that were outside of his regular job description. He believed that by being helpful and accommodating, he would earn the respect and appreciation of his colleagues and supervisors. At first, everyone praised Josh as an amazing coworker who was always ready to lend a hand and go the extra mile. His colleagues appreciated his willingness to help them with their workloads, and his supervisors valued his dedication and his commitment to the company. However, as his workload steadily increased and he continued to take on more and more responsibilities, he began to feel burned out, overwhelmed, and resentful. He found himself constantly working late, sacrificing his personal time, and neglecting his own needs in order to keep up with the demands of his job. Eventually, he decided that he needed to set limits and prioritize his own well-being. He began to decline unnecessary requests from his colleagues, focusing instead on his own core responsibilities and ensuring that he had enough time to rest and recharge. Strangely enough, instead of straining his relationships with his colleagues, this newfound clarity and assertiveness actually earned him more respect. His colleagues began to recognize that he was no longer willing to be taken advantage of, and they started to appreciate the value of his contributions even more. On another occasion, I witnessed a busy mother who was sacrificing all of her personal time and energy to care for her family. She gave up her hobbies, her personal interests, and her own opportunities for relaxation and enjoyment, devoting every moment of her day to meeting the needs of her children and her spouse. She believed that by putting her family first, she was fulfilling her role as a loving and devoted mother. Initially, her sacrifices were appreciated by her family, who expressed their gratitude for her unwavering dedication and her selflessness. However, over time, they began to take her sacrifices for granted, assuming that she would always be available to attend to their needs, regardless of the circumstances or her own personal limitations. When she decided to take one evening a week for herself to attend yoga classes, her family initially felt unsettled and even resistant to the change. They had become accustomed to her constant availability and her unwavering attention, and they struggled to adjust to the idea that she was prioritizing her own needs. Yet, over time, they began to see how this change not only brought her renewed energy and a more positive outlook but also taught them the value of balance, self-care, and respecting each other's individual needs. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that kindness isn't just about giving endlessly and sacrificing your own well-being in the process. It's about knowing when to hold back, when to set boundaries, and when to prioritize your own needs. A kind gesture means so much more when it's done willingly and sincerely, rather than out of pressure, obligation, or a desperate desire to please others. Before offering your help or agreeing to a request, ask yourself some critical questions. Do I genuinely want to do this? Does this align with my values and principles? Am I setting aside my own needs and priorities in order to fulfill this request? These questions will help you recognize when to say yes to a request that is aligned with your values and when to say no to a request that would compromise your well-being or deplete your resources. Kindness isn't self-sacrifice, it's a voluntary offering that should be given freely and generously, but always with a mindful awareness of your own needs and limitations. Remember, kindness only holds its true value when you maintain your self-worth and your sense of balance in your life. Stoic teachings remind us that practicing kindness with wisdom, discernment, and self-awareness doesn't just foster meaningful relationships and create a more positive environment, it helps you live a fulfilling and authentic life, aligned with your values and your principles. So, the next time you're asked for help or presented with an opportunity to be kind, take a moment to pause, reflect, and ask yourself, is this how I genuinely want to express my kindness? Is this a way that I can give without depleting myself or compromising my own well-being? The answer to these questions will guide you to make decisions that protect yourself while also spreading the true essence of kindness and making a positive impact on the world around you. Now, let's explore the crucial process of turning kindness into a sustainable and unwavering source of inner strength. Kindness, in its purest form, is a beautiful and transformative gift that we offer to the world, a beacon of light that illuminates the lives of those around us and fosters a sense of connection, compassion, and mutual understanding. However, there are times when that very gift can leave us feeling empty, drained, and even hurt, especially when our kindness is misunderstood, overlooked, or, even worse, taken for granted or exploited. There are moments when our generous acts are met with indifference, ingratitude, or even outright hostility, causing us to question the value of our efforts and the wisdom of our choices. But experiences like these should never deter us from the path of kindness or cause us to abandon our commitment to generosity. Instead, Stoic philosophy teaches us that kindness must stem from an inner strength, a resilient flame that cannot be extinguished no matter how fierce the winds of ingratitude or disregard may blow. This inner strength is cultivated through self-awareness, self-compassion, and an unwavering commitment to our values, allowing us to practice kindness with intention, discernment, and a healthy sense of self-preservation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most revered Stoic philosophers, wisely wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. His words remind us that the true value of kindness doesn't lie in how others perceive or react to it but in how steadfastly we uphold our moral principles and strive to live in accordance with our values, regardless of the external circumstances. Imagine a scenario where you tirelessly support a coworker at work, dedicating your time, energy, and expertise to help them succeed on a challenging project. You mentor them, provide them with guidance and resources, and consistently go above and beyond to ensure that they have the support they need. However, when the project is finally completed and recognized as a success, your coworker takes full credit for the achievement, failing to acknowledge your significant contributions or express any gratitude for your assistance. The sting of betrayal and the disappointment of being overlooked are undoubtedly painful, but as Stoicism suggests, the true worth of your kindness isn't measured by how it's received but by your unwavering commitment to doing what is right, acting with integrity, and supporting others in their endeavors. Kindness that is rooted in inner conviction doesn't require external recognition or validation to thrive. It exists because you choose to do what's right, regardless of the potential consequences or the likelihood of receiving appreciation in return. This principle applies even in the most intimate and personal of relationships, such as those within our own families. Picture a mother who tirelessly prepares every meal for her family, always the last to leave the table after cleaning up the dishes and ensuring that everyone is well fed and cared for. She dedicates countless hours to planning and preparing nutritious meals, catering to the individual preferences of her family members, and ensuring that they have everything they need to thrive. At first, her dedication is met with gratitude and appreciation from her family, who recognize the effort she is putting into providing them with wholesome and delicious meals. However, over time, it becomes an unspoken expectation, and her efforts are often taken for granted. If her kindness were tied to the expectation of appreciation or the need for external validation, she might feel disheartened, exhausted, and resentful. But if she acts out of genuine love, a deep-seated desire to nurture her family, and a belief that this is how she best demonstrates her care and support, her strength will remain unshaken, no matter how indifferent others may seem. Stoicism invites us to examine our motivations and delve into the underlying reasons why we are being kind and where our kind actions originate. These are not always easy questions to answer, as our motivations can be complex and often influenced by a variety of factors, both conscious and unconscious. However, they are essential questions to explore if we want to cultivate a sustainable and fulfilling practice of kindness that is rooted in inner strength and integrity. If your kindness stems primarily from a need for approval, a desire for validation, or a fear of rejection, it becomes fragile, easily broken by a lack of reciprocation or a perceived slight. You may find yourself constantly seeking external validation for your actions, relying on the approval of others to feel good about yourself and your contributions. This type of kindness is ultimately unsustainable, as it leaves you vulnerable to manipulation and exploitation and prevents you from developing a strong sense of self-worth that is independent of external validation. But when kindness arises from inner will, core values, and a deep-seated desire to make a positive difference in the world, it becomes unshakable, resilient, and capable of withstanding the challenges and disappointments that inevitably arise in life, regardless of others' behavior or their lack of appreciation. You are no longer driven by the need for external validation but rather by an internal compass that guides you to act in accordance with your values and principles. Kindness at its purest strikes a delicate balance between compassion and self-respect, between generosity and healthy boundaries, and between empathy and reason. It's the art of blending a genuine desire to help others with a firm commitment to protecting your own well-being, respecting your own needs, and upholding your own values. It's about finding the sweet spot where you can be both generous and self-preserving, both compassionate and assertive, and both giving and receiving. In healthy relationships, kindness isn't a one-way street where one side consistently gives and the other only receives. It's a genuine exchange of support, understanding, and compassion that nurtures both parties, fostering mutual growth, respect, and appreciation. It's about creating a dynamic where both individuals feel valued, supported, and empowered to thrive. In this balance, kindness transcends its conventional meaning, transforming into a powerful force that builds deeper, more meaningful connections, strengthens relationships, and enriches the lives of everyone involved. As Stoicism emphasizes, kindness not only alleviates the suffering of others but also strengthens us, turning every generous act into a living expression of dignity, integrity, and inner strength. It becomes a reflection of our authentic selves, radiating outward and influencing the world in a positive and profound way. Seneca, another prominent Stoic philosopher, wisely observed, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." This simple yet profound statement reminds us that the potential for kindness exists in every moment and in every interaction, and that we have the power to choose to act with compassion and generosity in every aspect of our lives. When practiced with wisdom, discernment, and a genuine desire to help others, kindness brings not only joy and fulfillment to those who receive it but also profound and meaningful connections to those who offer it. But this can only happen when we maintain our self-worth, respect our own needs, and cultivate a strong sense of value while giving. You cannot truly be kind to others if you are not also kind to yourself. This requires self-awareness, self-compassion, and a willingness to prioritize your own well-being. Ask yourself, is my kindness constructive? Does it truly help both sides grow and flourish? Does it align with my principles and values? If the answer to these questions is a resounding yes, then your kindness is genuine, purposeful, and aligned with your true self. Kindness isn't a sign of weakness or a lack of personal boundaries, it's a conscious choice, a deliberate act, and an expression of deep inner strength. It requires courage, compassion, and a willingness to stand up for your values, even when it's difficult or unpopular to do so. In a world that often celebrates toughness, aggression, and self-interest over tenderness, empathy, and generosity, kindness becomes a powerful way to affirm your dignity, assert your values, and demonstrate your commitment to creating a more compassionate and just world, without shouting, demanding, or compromising your own integrity. When you choose kindness, not out of fear of losing respect or a desperate need for external validation but as a genuine reflection of your values and your commitment to living in accordance with your principles, you'll earn respect, not from everyone, but from those who truly appreciate the virtue of generosity, the importance of compassion, and the value of creating a more caring and connected world. You'll attract like-minded individuals who share your values and appreciate your commitment to kindness, and you'll build relationships that are based on mutual respect, trust, and appreciation. So, ask yourself, does my kindness make me stronger? Does it help me live in alignment with my values? Does it bring me joy and fulfillment? If your answer is yes, then you've successfully transformed kindness into a sustainable and unwavering source of inner strength, something that is untouched by others' disrespect, ingratitude, or lack of appreciation. You've cultivated a practice of kindness that is rooted in self-awareness, self-compassion, and an unwavering commitment to your values, and you've created a life that is filled with purpose, meaning, and genuine connection. Ultimately, kindness isn't something you offer in search of recognition, reward, or validation. It's a choice you make to affirm who you are, to express your values, and to contribute to a more compassionate and just world. It's a reflection of your authentic self, radiating outward and influencing the lives of those around you in a positive and profound way. In Stoicism, this is how we live with freedom, integrity, and unwavering commitment to our values. Today, we've explored 5 powerful lessons about kindness: how to turn it into a sustainable source of inner strength, how to set healthy boundaries without losing compassion, how to differentiate between genuine altruism and actions driven by fear or obligation, and how to ensure that your kindness becomes a foundation for respect, meaningful connections, and a fulfilling life, rather than a reason for others to take advantage of you or devalue your contributions. These lessons are designed to deepen your understanding of yourself, your motivations, and your relationships, and to equip you with a practical guide to channel your kindness wisely, allowing you to live true to your values, act with intention and discernment, and approach every interaction with confidence, compassion, and unwavering pride. Remember, kindness is never a weakness or a sign of vulnerability. It is the ultimate expression of an enlightened, mature soul, guided by wisdom, compassion, and unwavering love. It is a choice that requires courage, strength, and a commitment to living in accordance with your values, even when it's difficult or unpopular to do so. When you learn to give thoughtfully, with clear boundaries and a healthy sense of self-preservation, kindness not only brightens the world around you but also becomes a radiant light that protects and empowers you throughout your life's journey. It becomes a source of resilience, strength, and unwavering hope, guiding you through the challenges and disappointments that inevitably arise and reminding you of your inherent goodness and your capacity to make a positive difference in the world. So don't hesitate to let your kindness shine, the world desperately needs more of that light. Embrace your generosity, cultivate your compassion, and commit to living a life that is guided by your values and fueled by your unwavering desire to make the world a better place. If this exploration resonated with you, if it gave you a new perspective on kindness, if it inspired you to approach your relationships with greater intention and awareness, take a moment to click the like button. It means the world to me and motivates me to create even more meaningful content for you. Share your thoughts, reflections, and personal experiences with kindness in the comments below. I'd love to hear your stories, perspectives, and insights, whether your experiences with kindness have brought you joy, challenged your patience, or tested your resolve. Your comments provide valuable insights and create a community of individuals who are committed to practicing kindness in a sustainable and meaningful way. And don't forget to share this video with your loved ones, your friends, your family members, and anyone else who might benefit from these powerful lessons. Who knows, this message might be exactly what they need today, perhaps even more than their morning coffee. If today's discussion resonated with you and you're eager to continue exploring the transformative power of Stoic philosophy and its practical applications to everyday life, hit that subscribe button so you won't miss the upcoming videos, which will delve into other essential topics such as resilience, self-discipline, and the pursuit of inner peace. I promise there's so much more inspiration, wisdom, and actionable advice headed your way. Finally, let's spread the light of kindness together, creating a ripple effect of positivity that touches the lives of everyone around us. It starts with small but meaningful actions, sharing this video, reflecting on your own kindness, offering a kind word to a stranger, or simply committing to approaching every interaction with greater compassion and understanding. These simple gestures can have a profound impact on the world, creating a more caring, connected, and just society for all. Thank you for taking the time to be here today. I deeply appreciate your presence, your engagement, and your commitment to practicing kindness in a sustainable and meaningful way. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep moving forward with kindness, compassion, and the unwavering strength that it brings. Remember, you have the power to make a positive difference in the world, one kind act at a time.